All right, we're coming to you live from our studios here in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Welcome to the Northeastern District CDD webinar. I'm Eric Ruthenberg, the District Vice President of Chorus Director Development, the DVP of CDD. We're here today with a bunch of my friends from the NED. Going to talk about some CDWI stuff. I'm very excited to have them here. And let's see to this. Can you guys all see that out there on the internet okay?
We can see welcome to the NED CDD webinar.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
I'm trying to figure out how many more acronyms you can put into one sentence.
SPEB, SQSA.
Yeah.
Awesome.
CDWI for the DVP of NED.
Yep. I need bigger business cards. So welcome, everyone. Welcome our guests. Welcome directors and assistant directors out there in cyberspace. We're doing our first one in 2016 here today. Sorry to have been sort of radio silent for a few months, but I'm glad to be doing these again. And I've heard from a lot of you that you get a lot out of these. So here we go. Here's 2016. Off to a flying start. Just some quick news tidbits before we get going. I want to share some couple things. So I want to make sure you all are still aware of the YouTube videos that are out there, the Outstanding in Front videos that are on the Barbershop Harmony 38 YouTube channel. Some great stuff of all levels that I'm sure Larry can tell us more about today. From beginning levels on up through intermediate stuff. If you have folks in your chapter maybe who are potential directors, maybe that's a good place for them to start, or maybe you want to work on some arm waving skills yourself. A lot of great resources there. Go check that out. Back in April, as we're about to find out tonight, the CDWI 2 happened in Montreal, but I don't want to do too many spoilers here. Let's move down to item number 3, where this summer, make sure you're registered for Harmony College Northeast. Our director's track, Rob Mance of Central Standard and formerly of Montreal, is going to be our teacher for the director's track. Very excited to have Rob coming up back to the Northeast and be here in the homeland for a while, sharing the good news and all the good stuff he's doing with Central Standard down there. And of course, if you're not able to tune in, you can always see these webinars online at the nedistrict.org/directors, and there's all these webinars there from last year archived there for you. All right, so tonight's guest speakers, drum roll please. Larry and Debbie Dodge, formerly of the NED, now of sunny Florida. We won't hold that against them. But Larry and Debbie were recently up in Montreal as clinicians for our CDWI Level 2, and they had a wonderful time and did a great job with our South Shore directors, Alan and Phil and Steve, who are also here with us. Alan, I'm not sure if he's joined yet. He's still blowing out his birthday candles, but if he's not here, he will be shortly. Welcome, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So great to have you. So what I want to do is start a little bit with just some background of what a chorus director's workshop intensive is, before we get to how awesome it's been for the South Shore directors and South Shore chapter. So Larry, you've sort of been involved with that program maybe since its inception. Am I mistaken?
You are not mistaken. I was in the initial meetings when they first began developing this program, and the idea behind it is we have all been in situations as barbershoppers, or maybe even not barbershoppers, where we got advice that we didn't want to hear. And how much good does that really do? Hearing a little bit of feedback there.
Yeah, let me see if I can mute some people. Hang on. Let's see. So, go ahead, Larry.
I'll just go ahead and continue. So, so the whole idea behind the CDWI stands for Chorus Directors Workshop Intensive, and that apparently was better than calling it CDIW, Chorus Directors intensive workshop just because it doesn't flow off the tongue very well.
I wondered about that.
And so we're kind of backwards speaking, but in the Yoda way it works.
Yes.
But the whole idea is that we are trained in this program as director coaches to step back and let go of our agenda. The most important thing that we can do as CDWI coaches is to understand that we are not the sage on the stage, that we are not there to tell people, well, if you do what I do, then you'll be wonderful. Our job is to be the guide on the side and to watch what people do, to find out what they want, and to help them refine their technique without interfering with the way they've naturally developed their ability. So the workshop is set up as a morning session where what we do is through what we hope are serious probing questions, ask the directors basically, what is it you really want? What is it you want for you? What is it you want for your men? What is it you want to get out of this, and why are you doing it? And what is it that we can do here to help you better? And so we spend the morning doing that, just chatting and talking and trying to really connect on a more human level, and less as teacher-apprentice, less as coach and student, and more as we're really trying to open ourselves to listen to what your needs are. And through the process of that morning, we try to identify a conducting technique and a rehearsal technique that we can help with in the afternoon. And we take a little break for lunch, and then the chorus comes in, and we work with the directors live in front of the chorus with videotape, focusing on not what we think they need to know or need to be able to do, but rather focusing on what it is that they say they need and what they want to be able to do. And we have 2 rounds in front of the chorus for each director. We go back, we alternate, and we go back and we review the videos and watch the videos with them and ask them, you know, what do they see, what changed, what improved, what do they want to look at next. But it really is a customer-oriented program. The intention of it is that this is a coaching session where we coach what you really want to learn, not what maybe necessarily we think you need to know. And I guess that's basically it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
It's really interesting, the whole philosophy behind it. I mean, you were at it since the start. So where did that guide on the side philosophy stem from? Because that's not something I'm familiar with outside of this program.
It kind of stemmed from actually it was a luncheon that the management quartet was at I think it was a show, and we were there with Bill Rashley and Eric, boy, his name is escaping me. The same guy who developed the Dynamo program, he was out of Pennsylvania, I think. But we were basically having a discussion about how frustrated oftentimes people are that they go in for a coaching session with certain expectations of what they want to work on, and instead of receiving what they feel is very valuable feedback, what they basically get is a dog and pony show of, okay, I'm the teacher, here's what I know how to teach you, and so I'm going to get up and do my song and dance and be a motivational speaker and basically do the one thing that I can, that I know how to do to help you improve. And what we call that is just in case in service. The whole idea behind just in case in service is I'm going to teach you this just in case you might need it someday. And we all have been at just in case in services before, where we probably were answering a lot of emails and doing some Facebook. And the switch is from just in case in service to just in time in service. And that lens is, we are here just in time to help you with what you need help with. All we need to do is find some way to get you to communicate that to us. If we can find some way for you to actually tap into what you really need and tell us, then we have been, I mean, one of the things about being a CDWI instructor is that we've been thoroughly vetted to having a quote, big bag of tools. And so we can approach pretty much anything from any direction, and it's not our job to determine what the problem is. It's the director's job to determine what the problem is, and then it's our job to reach into our bag of tools and try to find some way to help them throughout the afternoon. So we guide them as they work with the chorus to try to help them refine their technique and become better at what they want to be better at. And therefore, there comes the guide on the side. They are the sage on the stage, and they're in front of the chorus, and we're actually on the side watching what they do, working with the chorus, and we step in and say, okay, let's try this, let's move this, let's change this, and then we go back, let's look at the video and see whether that was effective or not.
Fascinating stuff. I want to pause there and give any folks out in cyberspace a chance to ask any questions to anyone here, whether it's Larry or Debbie, who are clinicians, or any of the directors who are participating here about their experience with this so far. I'll unmute everybody. Phil, I believe you're the cause of the feedback, so careful. Maybe your speakers were up a little too high.
But I'm using a headset, so I don't understand how there's feedback.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm confused.
All right.
So I'll try earbuds so that it doesn't feedback.
Whichever.
Hold on.
Sounds okay now. But anybody else out there?
Feedback. Yeah, I wasn't getting feedback. I was getting ba-dump, ba-dump, ba-dump.
Yeah, that was the...
Okay.
Well, I guess it's not feeding back anymore.
No.
So, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so Steve Wheaton here. We were very lucky because in the CDWI 1 that we had, was it 2 years ago?
It was last spring. Yep.
It was last spring. Yes. Okay. We had our 4 directors. We're lucky. We've got a small chorus with 4 directors, and then for the CDWI 2 we had our 3 directors. And the director from Greater Montreal chapter, Jeff Mance, was also there just to watch and to participate as a chorus member. And it was great. I mean, I've done all sorts of things that recently that work. I wasn't there for a couple of weeks because I actually found a job. So, yeah, it's an amazing program. And I would recommend it to any directors out there to get your chorus involved. If you're the host, then you get to direct your chorus, and the other directors that come in get to direct your chorus as well, and see different directing patterns and learn how to adapt. Absolutely,
the singers get as much, if not more, out of this day than the directors do, right? They just they get to watch these little changes happen, and then in real time hear what happens when the directors make these little changes that they're being coached on.
Yeah, it's a great hands-on, immediate feedback, right? Like right there, it's great. Phil,
you have any things to add?
I think, yeah, the feedback is really the most important thing, because you're getting feedback from people that you don't usually get feedback from, right? It's new people that come in from far away, that aren't around you all the time. So you end up getting a really fresh view on what you're doing, and just watching them even direct and just watching them show you how they do things ends up making you learn a lot just through osmosis, I guess, So they'll say, oh, maybe something a little bit more like, like this, like I remember with the cutoffs with Debbie, and I would go, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing there, and that was really good for me, just watching someone doing exactly what you're trying to do is really interesting. You don't get that opportunity every day, that's for sure.
Cool. Well, that's interesting to hear, especially from you. You're working on a music master's degree right now, right? So you
Yep.
have a higher education background in music, and without comparing things directly, how does this program unique to you as a musician?
Well, as a musician, it's pretty much totally different than what I'm doing in school because in school I'm in composition,
Yeah.
so it's pretty much like I'm in front of a computer all the time.
Right.
So it's very different. Uh, it's a very different environment,
Right.
and
But you conduct
it's
your own stuff from time to time, I'm sure.
no, not really, because there's always either it's a chamber ensemble where there's no conductor, or there's already a conductor of that ensemble because it's an established ensemble that does stuff regularly.
Okay.
So no, I never end up conducting my own stuff, and it would be very different if it would because I would be using a baton and stuff, and it would be more like trying to keep time in these ridiculous time signatures and stuff like that. So, it'd be very different.
Who else is out there in cyberspace? Chris, you're out there on the phone. You participated right before in CDWI, right, last year?
Yeah, what was it, April or May or something like that? We did one up in Portland. We had me and Jay and Fred, all three of us were there for that event.
Yep.
I actually think the most interesting part of the CDWI process is actually for lack of a better way of putting it, the mirror that gets held up when you do this process. A lot of times when I've noticed when guys get coached, it happens to all of us at one point or another, where we work with a coach and the coach, he tells you something and it's sometimes you don't want to hear it because there's that little bit of you that says, well, who is he to tell me what's going on, what I know best, or any of that type of stuff. When someone holds that mirror up for you, it can be painful to look at, it can be painful to hear, and you may not want to take the advice. But I think that's the real genius of the CDWI process is that by showing up, you are telling the room and telling yourself, I'm going to hold that mirror up to myself. And there's really nothing, there's nothing you can be mad at. Once you realize that's part of the process, it's about, okay, well, we're all in this together. When we have the group session in the morning, we all realize we're in this process together, and we've all chosen to bring that mirror and, see our own faults and then share in that with each other in the hopes that we can all get better with that. And I think once we've voluntarily done that, and then, like you said, us finding our own, if you will, our own flaws or our own areas of improvement, I think that creates a whole lot more buy-in for each of the guys that does it, and I think it makes it a whole lot more powerful. It was for me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely, that's a huge risk, if you will, for us men who always feel we need to prove ourselves, right? So we got to get out there, and now we're admitting that we might not be perfect, especially for directors, right?
Well, absolutely. We want to step in front of our group. We want to know. We want to act like we know everything.
Exactly.
Even if we don't, we have to step up there believing that we're the ones in charge and hoping that everybody else lets us.
You mean we aren't?
What?
You mean we aren't in charge?
No, not according to my chorus. I was trying to direct them on Monday, and they said I was following them very poorly. I don't know.
Sounds like Keep the Whole World Singing.
Yeah.
Every chorus does it differently, and if you get in front of them, they don't follow you.
So, Larry, I want to pick your brain a little bit more about the morning session in particular, where we sit down, the two clinicians sit down with the participants and talk. Basically, I've compared this to what I recall of my first year of music education in college, where we talk about why we do this, the philosophy, your philosophy of music education. Why do you stand up in front of the guys each week So tell me a little bit about that, if you can.
I'll get started on that
Sure.
one. As an apprentice, my apprentice, Larry, still, I'm an apprentice still in the CDWI program, which is a wonderful place to be because you get to be inspired and learn from the certifiable one, which would be Larry and whoever we're with. But it's the whole purpose of the morning really is to allow people to really take a look inside of themselves of what is going on. Isn't it so easy for us to go ahead and blame everything going on around us? You know, the guys show up late, they talk on the risers, you know, we all, even the best courses have these issues. And so to take that time to ask questions, to create that inward thinking and inward experience, so that what we work on in the afternoon comes from within. It's so much more powerful. Like Larry said, it's so easy for a coach to come in and say do this, that, and the other. But when it comes from a true eye-opening realization of wow, this is about me and what I'm doing, and what can I do differently to create a change, then the learning becomes more accepted within the director, because it is self-driven. The focus is self-driven, and we just help enable that whatever is decided on by those directors to come forth and give them tips to help them to get the end result that they're looking for. Larry, you wanna?
One of the things that we talk about at Harmony University Leadership class is a wonderful video by Benjamin Zander. If you Google Benjamin Zander Shining Eyes, you'll find it. But the big line in there, one of the most impactful lines, is he says, as a leader, what am I doing that my followers' eyes are not shining? And he said, my definition of success is when I see shining eyes around me. I don't care if I did it right or I did it wrong, if I did it the way it was supposed to be done or not. If I see shining eyes, then I know the people around me are getting something from this. And oftentimes as directors, we are so inward focused, we forget to look for those shining eyes. And oftentimes when we don't see them, we don't ask, whose fault is it?
Because there are so many things that we have to think about as directors. So to take that time and say yes.
Absolutely.
Am I involved in this? How am I involved? And what can I change?
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I always try to hold up that mirror as best I can when I'm up there. I'm like, okay, they're not getting it. What did I do? Am I not doing? Am I not giving that prep right? Did I not show them how to breathe well? What did I do? So that's always great to reinforce that, you know, what they see. What is it? What you hear is what you get. No, what they see is what you get.
That's it. What they see is what you get.
Thank you.
And we always operate best when we are soliciting the advice. When we are placed in a coaching situation where maybe we don't see something as a problem, but the coach sees it as a problem, we're less willing to embrace it perhaps than if it's addressing a specific problem that we're seeing and trying to deal with.
It's okay, Debbie.
Yes.
I'm not bending my knees as much.
Yay!
One of the things that we've been fortunate to do down here is to work with some high school singers. And we'll have a high school singer walk through the door, and we'll say, what can we do today to be most helpful to you? And oftentimes the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah, they wouldn't know the answer. Yeah.
And the reciprocal question is, well, why don't you know? And if you don't know, why are you here? And so it is a matter of asking and drilling and saying, what is it that makes you feel uncomfortable? What is it that's not working for you? What is it? Because none of us want to admit that we're not the best we can be. And so sometimes that's hard to drill at. But when you finally have someone say, gee whiz, here it is. Here's the one thing that I could really use some help with. Then it's like, okay, well, boom, I can do that. I can help you with that. And suddenly we have a great afternoon.
Very cool, very cool. Well, it must be challenging to you guys as clinicians. What's the proper term? Trainers? Clinicians?
I guess we would call us trainers.
Trainers. Okay.
Well, actually, the official term of trainer is somebody who trains someone to become a CDWI instructor. So I guess the best term probably would be instructor. Instructor.
So it must be challenging to the instructors throughout the morning to help guide the directors along the way through this guided questioning. Is that the proper term that we sort of have in the morning to find?
Yeah, that's probably the proper term. It's always more challenging for people who haven't done it before. Mm. And so the CDWI 2, which we did in Montreal, everybody having been through the process before and understanding what it's all about, that gives us an opportunity to kind of drill a little deeper, and people are more forthcoming and more open. I've done some CDWIs once before where, one of the directors was a real tough nut to crack. It's like he wasn't doing anything wrong. Every single problem that was happening with the chorus was because of someone else. It's because of what they're doing. It's because they're showing up late. It's because they won't learn their music. It's because they talk on the rises. They don't pay attention to me. And being able to not tell someone, and this is the thing, is you can't tell someone, hey, you're the problem. It's a matter of asking them the right questions and asking them and trying to guide them along a path where they suddenly say, maybe if I did this, then that would change. Because we know the world works on impetus and response. And if you as a director are not getting the response, you need to look at the impetus. And the impetus lies with you as the director. And sometimes that's really hard to do because a lot of people become directors because they are the most qualified individual to do that. And as long as you are the most qualified individual, you want to and feel you need to be seen as flawless. And what we need to do is we all need to come to a place where we understand we are all flawed, but that's not a bad thing. As Captain Kirk said, we as humans need to struggle. We need to fight. We need to move towards something greater. And you can't just keep us as pets, because then we'll wither and die.
Very true. Shout out to all the Trekkies out there. Very cool. Let's pause for a moment. Who haven't we heard from today? Russell, you're out there in Canada. Do you have anything to add? Have you participated in the CDWI before?
I have.
Yes.
Yes. And I was in, where did I go? I went to somewhere in New York.
And what was your experience with that like?
It was good. It was great. Like everybody else has said, it's eye-opening when you're doing something that you know is going to be just great and it doesn't work, and then you see it on the video and you go, that's not what I did. But of course it is, because there's the video. You really can't keep arguing with it the longer you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. But no, it was a really good day.
Now, were you able to take and apply relatively quickly some of the things you took out of that day when you went back to your
Yeah, it was about 130 years ago, I think, that I did this. So I'm trying to remember what it was. At that point, I was assistant director.
Okay.
And with the Dartmouth chorus, and yeah, I was able to immediately go back and fix some things, and also say to the chorus, this was kind of fun to do. I said, now here's something that I learned when I was directing. I tended to direct, and then my hand would drop after I did. So it's like 2 beats instead of 1. So I said, okay, if you see me do this at any point, raise your hand while I'm directing a song. I mean, not in performance, of course, but in rehearsal, at any time, if you see me do that, raise your hand. And some of the guys started doing it. Some didn't feel comfortable doing that, I think, because I'm sure more noticed than put their hands up. But guys were doing it. They'd put their hands up, and I'd look at them and nod, and okay, thank you for that, and just keep going. And I stopped doing this, so it worked.
That's great. That's great. You made them part of the process. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they seem to like the ones who did it seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I got you again. Yeah, so.
Let's pick on Russ right then.
Right. Yeah, they get to do that. So.
That's good, and I think that's healthy for all of us. I'm interested to know from you South Shore guys. Now you were in a unique position the last couple of years. You hosted this with your own chorus. So you were in the kind of a cool position that you got to conduct your own repertoire with your own guys, with songs they were all familiar with, and then the following week they were all there during it, and so they could hold you to task, right? So how have things been over the last year and a half now since the level 1 one you did with your chorus, and how have you progressed as a chorus and as directors?
Okay, I'll go first because Phil's got more to add, I'm sure.
Okay.
After the CDWI one, we were very open, and all of the chorus members reminded us, not while we were doing the rehearsals, but like in between songs or stuff, they say, well, you did this here and you did this there, and so it was the sort of thing, like it wasn't immediate feedback, but it was close. I think after CDWI 2, because of my situation, I wasn't there a lot. Phil would have to answer for that. Phil?
I'm getting a call at the same time. Sorry.
Tell Melanie you're busy.
Yes.
Or Melissa.
Yeah, she's in the kitchen right now.
Oh, okay. She's busy too.
I got a call as soon as you said Phil will add to that, and I was like,
okay.
So, yeah, I think that we've had a chorus that was really open with helping us pretty much all the time. I know, I think after the CDWI, it was sort of enhanced a lot more, because a lot of guys who at first wouldn't really talk to us about what we were doing were talking a lot more. And it's obviously, it's not going to be everyone who does that. But we've got a pretty open chorus that really makes a lot of suggestions. And the fact that they were able to see what is sort of good and what's bad when you change things made them sort of more confident in being able to bring forth their own opinions. And I think that kind of confidence was one of the most important things, because they realized, oh, you know, this isn't that complicated. I can talk to him about it. This isn't like voodoo magic stuff, you know. I can go to him and say, I don't understand what it is when you do this, you know. And they're sort of encouraged to ask us questions. That happened even just, I think it was last practice. George, one of the basses, said, you want us to go quieter when you do this, right? And I said, yes, you know, but it's because the guys weren't following us there. So he was pointing something out, and even though he already knew what it meant, it was pointing something out to the rest of the guys because they didn't go quieter there, you know. But often there are a few other guys in the chorus that will come to me after and say, you know, this, I don't really understand this, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm doing this like all wrong. Like, you're right. Like, what am I doing? You know, I could think of a few specific cases where I went, yeah, I've got to change that. You're right. Like, what am I doing? So it's really good to have the chorus there with you and to get the confidence that they can have an input.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys were able to participate in both these over the last year or two here. Chris, when you did yours, it was with your chapter and some other guys. Did you have a similar experience in the weeks after that they were able to hold you to task?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's still happening even to this day. Anytime any of us are doing something that's a little confusing, primarily both Jay and I are spending the most time at this point in front of the group, and anytime we do something that's weird, we're always encouraging guys, come up and tell me, did you like that? What didn't you understand? And we're always trying to focus on really on that focusing on the director, so that A, it's a more connected performance between our directors and our chorus, but B, if they see something that they don't understand or really isn't consistent with what we've been doing, I mean, I think we probably have every week there's a couple of things that somebody's pointing out and saying, oh, well, you didn't direct it like that last week, or you didn't do that. And it's not just basic, okay, this is louder or this is softer, but it's more fundamental. This is something that one of us has said we want to direct it this way, and we're not doing it. And so in their own way, our guys are holding us accountable for the things we said we want to be doing. And I think it's fantastic. But yeah, definitely doing it in front of our own guys, it was a great experience. It was really fun for them to see what potential that they had just by following a director. But it also showed us, this is our own chorus, and, we felt like we could move mountains at the end of the session just on, 20 minutes in front of the group and 2 little changes that we made to our directing styles. It was a really cool experience, definitely.
That's awesome. So I'm hearing resounding yes, our chapter should host this program because it's so awesome for everyone. That's basically the gist I'm getting from the room here. Right? Is that right?
That sounds like it.
Okay. Awesome. Larry and Debbie, some questions for you. The intended audience for CDWI Level 1 is directors and assistant directors, and who else?
It is intended for anyone who is able to get enough time in front of the chorus that they can practice their skill.
Okay.
So if you're talking about a section leader who only gets to direct a tag or something, we're probably not going to be able to do much to help them. We're looking for specifically people who get significant time in front of the group so they can immediately apply skills and see the results from those. So if we have assistant directors who are not in front of the chorus on a regular basis, the answer is they should be.
Mm-hmm. Good. And so, so CDWI Level 1 happens, and then we talked about how once you've done it once, we dive a little deeper in CDWI Level 2. What programs are there out there after that for guys who have, or chapters who have gone through CDWI Level 2? Are there other things out there that the society offers? Well,
the CDWI Level 2 is probably almost a misnomer. It's just, I want to do CDWI again. Mm-hmm. What it basically is wow, this really helped. I want to do it again. And so you can do as many CDWI 2s as you want to do. And I think one of the things that Chris brought up that's really important is the concept of openness. And I think a lot of what happens in CDWI 1 is that moment when a director realizes that that through openness, through not being guarded, through actually becoming a team player with their own group of singers, that they can create improvement. That may be more effective than anything we do in the afternoon as far as tweaking a technique. And I love tweaking techniques. I love helping people be better. But just bringing someone to the point of open-mindedness of saying, I can be better, I can work at this, I can talk to my people, I don't have to be perfect, and if I'm not, it's not the end of the world. And that's a huge thing. Once a chapter is at a point where the members are feeling really good about what's happening, and the director is feeling really open, and there's a lot of communication going on. The next program is called The Next Level, not to be confused with Debbie and me as coaches. We made our name The Next Level as coaches before this happened. But what happens with The Next Level is that a team of coaches, one or more coaches, will actually come to your chapter. They'll ask you to submit videos of a typical rehearsal night ahead of time. They'll review those videos. They'll come and they'll observe a live chapter meeting and capture every aspect of it, and then sit down with both the director and the music team and talk about, here's what we see your culture is. How do you want your culture to improve? And so again, it's not a matter of coming in with a program saying, well, if you just do this and this and this, then you'll have a healthy chapter. And part of the Healthy Chapters initiative that's currently happening with BHS is to examine all the different ways that we have healthy chapters. So the Next Level program is we come in and we look at what's going on with your chapter. We watch a rehearsal night. We examine your culture. We talk to you very unshielded about what we see, and ask, what kind of chapter is this? The chapter you see, is this really the chapter you want? And what can we do to make your culture even better? The levels of directing techniques work that we have at the basic level is Harmony University, where you go and you become a part of a group conducting class. And it's pretty, I have to say, it's pretty inauthentic that you can only direct the people who are in the room, and you can only direct them on the songs they know. And the next step up is the CDWI, and oftentimes we have to direct polkas because we have groups of people who are diverse. They're not members of the same chorus. The fact in Montreal that we were able to work with the directors, with their group, that truly is a CDWI2 concept of we're working with people, with their singers on the repertoire that they want to work on. And nothing will ever beat having a coach come in, and we oftentimes have coaches come in and work with the chorus, but nothing will ever beat having a coach come in who is focused strictly on the director, watching what's happening and coaching the director through a live rehearsal in front of their chorus working on their songs.
Love that, love that. Is the CDWI 1 and 2, is that necessarily a prerequisite for something like the Next Level? Is that something that they need to go through, or can someone just jump into that? Because that sounds like a wonderful, wonderful thing, especially given the Healthy Chapters initiative.
It's not necessarily a prerequisite. However, the Next Level program of observing a rehearsal and recording it and working with it will not be effective if the director has not been brought to a place of openness. So if we're working with a chapter where the director is closed, where the director says, I am the expert, I know everything, there's nothing that I'm doing wrong, everything would be great if only everybody else would do what they need to do, the Next Level program will be completely ineffective.
That makes sense.
Is there a list somewhere of people that will come in and work with the directors? Like with South Shore, we have a director and 2 assistant directors now. And like if we often bring in coaches like you, Eric, for the chorus, and Ray Johnson was another one that worked with us. But they worked with the chorus and not with the directors. Is there somewhere where we can get who we could bring in to work just with the directors? Such as like the CDWI2. Do we have to do it again like a CDWI2, or?
There's no need to do an official CDWI2 if you want to have direct coaching with you as a director in front of your chorus. The best thing to do would be to contact Donnie Rose at the BHS and to let him know what your needs are. And he has a network of people that he can work through to find the right person to match you up with. I mean, I don't think there's any, at this point, official list, and as we know, most of the focus tends to be on coaching the chorus, and many of us kind of just shake our heads and say, what's up with that? Because it's really the directors that need the coaching in order for the chorus to get better. It's really the leadership that needs that. So, I mean, one of the things that Debbie and I have done forever is we coach as a duet. And one of the first things that we ask of the director is, are you open to having us work with you? And if they say no, we don't touch them. We just work with the group. We work with the chorus. We try to make things better, and we do that. But as soon as the chorus director says, yes, I would love to have some feedback, then at any given time, one of us is focusing on the director and the other is focusing on the chorus. I think that the Sounds of Concord,
Vocal Revolution.
The Vocal Revolution.
Vocal Revolution.
The Vocal Revolution did something similar where they brought somebody in specifically to work with the chorus, and then Dan Costello brought in Kirk Young specifically to work with him, and he told Kirk. He said, I do not want you I do not want one iota of your attention to be on what the singers are doing. I want all of your attention to be on me. And that really was one of the springboards that launched them to their next level. But again, it will only work if the director is ready for that, if the director is open for that.
If I could jump in, that's interesting because the Halifax chorus here, we were talking at a music committee meeting about getting coaching, and I said, you know what we need is coaching for the directors, and I said, you know who we should call? Kirk Young. I didn't know that's who Dan had worked with. That's interesting that it's the same guy, but we haven't made it work yet.
He's right there in Tilton, New Hampshire, and he's got skills. I mean, and as a matter of fact, I mean, our host Eric Ruthenberg has really great hand skills as well, and he's an excellent coach. I think it may be less important the name of the person that you bring in, and it may be more important that you say, here's what the focus is. The focus is, I want you to watch what I'm doing, and I mean, as a singer, is there anything that I'm doing that is communicating to you something different than what I want to receive? And so we can even do that at a grassroots level by pulling 2 or 3 singers out, asking them not to sing, but simply, you know, you disengage as a singer and just watch me as a director and take out a notepad and write down what worked and what didn't. We can do that at a grassroots level without having to fly in or bring in or make any expenses of bringing in someone with a name.
And what a great way to find potential talent in your chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are 2 in our chorus that I think would be good for doing something like that. Just don't know if they want to get involved.
Ask them. You know, use your own guys. Yeah. Use your own guys to your advantage. I know one of our former guests said he has a spy on the risers who he gives an instruction every week. You know, if I do this, I just want you to do a, you know, give me a snap or give me a high sign or something if you catch me doing such and such. Even just little things like that. Someone you trust to have their eyes on you.
One of the things that we teach in leadership class is one of the things that's highly important as you begin to mind the people within your own group is to make sure that you have a protocol, which is that they write down what they like and what they don't like, and they meet with you afterwards to discuss it. The last thing you want is someone coaching from the risers who shouldn't be. And this is actually one of the things that oftentimes comes up as a CDWI issue, is coaching from the risers. And one of the solutions to that is if you give every single person an opportunity to give input, even if it's not immediate input, if they are called down front and asked to listen and asked to watch, and they are allowed to input their decision and have a meeting with the director afterwards where they say, here's what I heard, here's what I liked, here's what I think needs to be better, the director can nod and say, you know, your feedback is wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I will consider these things and I will prioritize them, and guaranteed one of these things will be addressed in an upcoming rehearsal.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Are you folks familiar with the Chuck Green compellingly attractive chapter meetings?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. A lot of that is impressive, and I think it's a fabulous way to build talent within your ranks. Like you had mentioned, Chris, how the chorus is helping, giving you feedback and such, and when you build that camaraderie and the trust and everybody in this as a team, it makes the chorus stronger because they're working together and they feel valued, and they'll show up every week if you know they know that you're going to hear them. But like Larry said, in a controlled way, have them write down ideas and embrace them.
Super. Any other questions? Waiting for a pause to jump in. Anybody out there? I don't want to dominate the conversation myself. That's fine. So I did have one more question for Larry and Debbie. I was curious about how someone becomes a CDWI instructor. Is there a rigorous training you have to go through, Debbie? Maybe you could speak to that as an apprentice.
Oh, it was horrible. No, I'm only kidding. Actually, Larry invited me to. There's correct me if I'm wrong, Larry. There's a 3-step process. Mm-hmm. So you're first an applicant where you just come in and observe a CDWI in action, which is what I did at Harmony University 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember.
4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. To watch how it actually goes, to really observe the questioning portion in the beginning and the coaching in the afternoon, and then my understanding is that people are invited. Yeah. Or they can say they'd like to be a part of it, but Larry can speak to that.
Yeah, after someone comes as an applicant and they say, I want to be part of the CDWI process, we invite them to observe a CDWI, and then we debrief them afterwards, and I can assure you that Debbie was thoroughly debriefed. And if they quote get it, if they understand what it is that we're trying to do, then typically the next step has been that we go to BHS, and they have a training weekend that they put together where you are run through a number of scenarios, kind of like run through the grinder. BHS has not done one of these training weekends for a number of years. And so instead, what we do is we vet these people by presenting them with certain scenarios and saying, well, what would you say if someone said this? And it is mainly drawn from experience, having done this over and over again, as we say, well, you know, we draw strictly off of experience. Well, what would you do when the guy says this? And oftentimes, I will ask that question of something that I struggled with as an instructor, where I didn't know what to answer, and it's like, well, let's see if she's got a better answer than I had. And if the person really embraces the program and understands the program and demonstrates some skill in being able to bring people to a place of openness, then their next step is what we call a flying right seat, which is we bring them on a CDWI with someone who is certified. And we observe them and watch them work with the conductors, and we just make a determination basically as to what their skill level is. Do they have a good bag of tools? Are they able to work with people in a variety of different scenarios? Are they able to interface with people in a way that makes people feel comfortable and makes people feel open, that doesn't shut people down, that doesn't suggest, here's what you need to do. Now, to become a certified instructor, you officially have to do a CDWI in the right seat, with the left seat being someone who is on the CDWI certified board. And so there is a short list of people. By the way, the name I was searching for earlier was Eric Jackson. So along with Eric Jackson and a number of other people, there's a short list of people who basically will watch you work and say, yeah, this person gets it, and they are ready to teach somebody else how to do it. And so that's when you become a full CDWI trainer, is you're not just working with the director and working with the chorus, but you're also working with the other CDWI person to make sure that they're effective in what they do.
That's awesome. So it's good to know that there's a whole training program behind this. We often hear about what it takes to become a judge, but no one out there probably knows about what it takes to become a CDWI instructor. That's very cool. Raise your hand if you knew that. Yeah, I didn't think so. Very cool. Any other questions out there in cyberspace?
With this, the CDWI and everything else, what is the what's that standing ovation program? Like, how does that help with the directors?
Larry, you want to tackle that?
I'm not an expert on this. My understanding of the standing ovation program is that someone comes and observes your show as an audience member, and they literally just make a bullet list of what they enjoyed about your show and what they didn't. And they meet with the board and the music team afterwards, or they could just even submit a list to you and just say, hey, here's what worked really well. I loved the way you stacked the songs. I loved the way this followed this. The announcer was great, but there was some dead time here and there, and what could we do to improve that dead time? I think that Debbie's dad, Jim Dodge, is he's an official standing ovation guy, and he might be a great guest to have on a future webcast.
Yeah. Well, we have often had Joe Kopka and Shirley there, so at our course, yeah.
And then also the Outstanding in Front program, which is more designed for section leaders, anyone who really wants to learn the beginning skills. But have you guys watched any of Larry's videos yet?
Of the Outstanding in Front?
Yeah, they're terrific. He asked me to edit the material, and there was really nothing I could change because it was so well written. It starts with very basic skills, but it continues on. I highly recommend it for any front-line director to continue to watch the pieces. If you're, for the beginning level, perhaps it's to help reinforce coaching that you are bringing up your assistant directors and section leaders and building new skills within the chapter. But as it goes on and moves along, boy, there's some really good stuff. He even talks about melding of patterns. Mm-hmm. So that's another wonderful program that Larry's gone and done and led. In fact, we did a school in, November, was it, or January, in Michigan. And I just know it snowed there. But
you like it when it's cold, don't you? You come up here in February and you go down there in January.
I did the CDWI with a certified trainer, not Larry, while he was doing an Outstanding in Front with some other people from the district. So that was an effective way to really build talent within the whole area.
Awesome, awesome. So we're about to the 1 hour point here. I want to make sure everybody gets their questions in before we wrap it up. So if there's anything else out there you want to chime in with, feel free.
So would the outstanding in front be something that might be good for South Shore to do, to have?
The outstanding in front video series in particular, well, the outstanding in front workshop would be good for any area where you have 5 or more potential course leaders. And the video workshop that we've put together, the series of videos, would be good for any small group that has maybe 1 or 2 people who may be interested in getting out front and or to begin to develop people to get out in front of the group, even to do just basic things like warm-ups and tags.
I just want to, like I said, so many directors are kind of forced in front of their chapter without really knowing what they're doing. So it's a wonderful tool for frontline directors.
Yeah, I would highly suggest any frontline director at least vet the videos before they put somebody into the program, before they ask someone to begin to complete the program. I would say, as a frontline director, watch the videos and make sure that you agree with what's being said and the way it's being said and how it's being presented. And what you may find is that you yourself are catching yourself on some things that could be improved as you go along. I think one of the most important things for us to remember is that there is a huge difference between being a conductor and being a director. Being a conductor has to deal strictly with the art of effective gesture. Can I communicate to my chorus in a musical way, in a nonverbal way, using my hands and using my body? And is there anything that I'm doing that's interfering with what I want to communicate? Being a director is so much more than that. Conducting skills are such a small part of being a director. Being a director also includes leadership skills and being able to talk with people and say things in the right way and do things in the right way. And outstanding in front covers all of these aspects. It covers the conducting skills. It covers the leadership skills. It talks about positive language. It talks about simple things, just as how do you appear to the chorus? Are you the kind of person they're going to want to follow? And so it's a very broad range of things, not specifically targeted at conducting.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Steve?
Yep.
Good.
Yep, that's good.
Good. Well, I'd like to take a quick run around the room and just have the guys from South Shore and maybe Chris, since you did one last year, just in a quick elevator speech to a director or assistant director who hasn't yet been a part of the CDWI. Why should they go do this year as soon as they possibly can? Chris, you can go first.
Well, I think more than anything, this program is it's a fantastic journey into exactly what we were talking about. Why do you direct? Why do you conduct? Why do you stand in front of the group and wave your arms? And sometimes going through that process of understanding what you want out of it, and then not knowing where you're not getting those shortfalls, being able to connect the actions and the body movements and the way you speak to the chapter with what you want to accomplish, and being able to be in a forum where somebody's going to tell you're not going to tell you how to do it, but is going to ask you the question and help you find that answer out yourself. This isn't a room full of people telling you you need to do this, you need to do that, and then your chorus and your chapter are successful. This is them allowing you to discover for yourself what it is you really want out of this and how you can be better. It's just an amazing experience when they're on the path with you, but you're taking the first step. It's absolutely anybody who's going to be working in front of a chorus, specifically any directors that are working in front of a chorus. This is a must do. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. Steve, you're next. Elevator speech. Why should I do
Elevator speech? Okay. Well, the assistant directors, and even potential assistant directors, if they did this CDWI, they would find out firsthand what the chorus is looking for from the hands. Section leaders could be, because they're in front of the section at every time, they would be able to find out what they have to do to make sure that the sections are going well. Directors, it's very humbling.
It is, but in a good way, right?
Yes, but it also it sort of points out that yes, there are things I can learn still. I haven't learned everything yet.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And Phil, what do you have to add to your elevator speech?
Yeah, I guess it would depend who I'm talking to, because if I'm talking to someone who has never had any coaching for much things in general in their life before, I would talk about the importance of coaching, because it's amazing. For anything you want to learn, you've got to have someone that comes and shows you different ways that you can improve, and you need to learn to just accept that and say, well, I'm just here to learn anyways, so who cares how good I am? I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here to learn, right? And once you're sort of used to that, I mean, I took guitar lessons since I was 7, so the coaching aspect, to me, yeah, of course, someone's coming and they're going to be way better than you, and you have nothing to prove to them. You know, if anything, it's the other way around. They've got stuff to show you. You know, you don't show them anything. You know, if anything, you want to show all of your flaws, you know, so that they can fix them. If you show off, well, it's not really that good. So that's the importance of coaching, is that it'll boost your abilities way faster, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't even realize you're doing wrong, first of all. You know, you might think like, oh, I could do this better and I could do that better, but you won't have the tools, and sometimes you'll have a shortcut. You know, someone will say, oh, well, that's not really the problem. It's actually this. And then you go, oh, well, that's why I wasn't able to do this. I always thought it was this, but, you know, they've got more experience than you, and that's the great thing about coaching. And so if someone already knows a lot about coaching and they're already sold on that, then I would say, well, the CDWI is great, because what they do is they attack it from pretty much every angle. They go at it from not just the conducting technique aspect, which I've seen a lot, because there are, you know, conducting workshops and things that I've seen, and you know, just general master classes in music. It happens all the time. But what you don't see in music school in general, I guess you had a different experience in music education, because we never had a time where we sat down and talked about the philosophy of what we were doing. You know, I mean, never. In composition, it was just like, go, you know. Yeah. So, well, for us, I mean, I had some philosophical teachers, but that's another story. For us, I think it's great as chorus directors to sit down for an entire morning and say, well, why am I doing this? And not only that, learn how to question yourself, right? Because a lot of people, like, they try to question themselves, but again, they don't have a coach for questioning themselves. And that's, again, something you can learn. And that's something we don't really think about, is being coached in questioning, you know? When you have someone guiding your questions and always going deeper and probing further and further every single time, you go, oh, okay, You know, that's how far I could go with trying to figure out what it is that I'm trying to get out of myself, out of the chorus, and especially if your chorus members are there, that would be the third thing I would say.
Mhm.
Is it's great because you get an extra interaction with your chorus that you don't get in most coaching situations. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching, especially the choruses who have hosted this. I've really enjoyed watching that dynamic. So I try to encourage that as much as I can. Well said, one and all.
Yeah, I think every chorus should host one.
Yeah, huh?
They should, because it's amazing. It really is amazing what happens within the chorus and with the directors.
Yeah, it's been great organizing these. Just sort of sitting back and watching them happen. It's been awesome, and I very much excited to continue to watch this process throughout our district. Debbie and Larry, any closing thoughts for us, our participants, or those tuning in over the YouTube, or just in general?
Did Russell get a chance to talk?
Hey, Russell.
Hi.
Hi.
Get a chance to talk ever, or just recently?
Did you want to add anything about what your experience has been with CDWI? Give us a later speech.
CDWI was a lot of fun. Like I said, you see just watching yourself on video and being that tuned into what it is you are actually doing, and wanting to say, no, that's not what I did, and you know, there's no denying it. It's very helpful, and it's great. You know, having that focus on the director and being the person that's being observed and coached is great. And I think one of the best ways to improve choruses is to improve the directors. That was what led to us trying to get a hold of Kirk to come up and work with us. But because I said that, you know, the chorus isn't going to get any better than the director is. So you need to improve the director. You know, obviously the chorus needs their coaching and their commitment as well. But I think the other aspect of it is just going through, whether it's CDWI or any other director training, is the director is showing their commitment to the chorus. That the chorus is seeing, okay, this guy's putting in time and effort. You know, we matter to him. The chorus matters to him, or her, as the case may be. But either way, it's important, I think, for the chorus to know that we really care how we're doing and how the chorus is overall. So all those things are really great about CDWI, and it's great to be actually in front of a genuine chorus as opposed to just a bunch of guys. Like Larry said, at Harmony U, it's good to be able to direct a class. And actually, Larry, I'm taking your directing techniques in July, so I'll see you then. But you are very much restricted to the songs you can sing. If you're in front of a chorus, you've got their repertoire, and that's a huge difference as well. So anyway, there you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Russell.
Thanks.
So, Debbie and Larry, did you have any parting words of wisdom for us from the hinterlands of Florida?
Just that I think one of the beauties is, I think this is particularly in the NED, is that we're actually speaking to some of the most open people already, and we see you at these training events, and we see you wanting to improve, and we see you moving forward, and that really is what it's all about. Also to say that the temperature has just dropped below 76, so I think we'll have to move in off the porch because it's getting a little chilly.
I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, that dripping sound you hear is our hearts bleeding for you.
Hey, Eric.
I can mute you with one click.
Eric, thank you for doing these, because it is. I think it's so important for people to understand and have the opportunity to share. And you guys hopping on like this, you're a pro and a star, Eric. We really appreciate all that you're doing for the NED.
Thank you very much. That's my pleasure.
Are we going to go back to one a month?
I would be more than happy to. Absolutely.
Okay.
Mark your calendars. I'll put out another email and we'll get them going again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how about
and-
if you can get Jim and Joe and Shirley on about the standing
Standing
Say-
Standing ovation. Yeah.
That's standing in front. So
Good idea.
Standing
Any other
ovation.
ideas? Any other ideas out there for these? Well, send them to me in an email if you like, and
Yeah, sure.
we will see you at the next one. Thank you again, all our guests, Larry and Debbie, and Phil and Steve, for hopping on. And tell Alan happy birthday. We're sorry we missed him, but I'm sure it's
I called him about 20 minutes ago, and he's just got home from dinner, so
okay.
he's returning phone calls.
Still blowing out candles, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, he's the same age as I am, so be quiet.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
thanks again, Eric. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks,
Deb.
Eric.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.